Welcome to Gray Matter Reports. Today, we decode the complex reality of events that unfold around us. The room was dimly lit, shadows dancing on the walls like specters of thought. A single overhead bulb flickered, casting a pallid glow over the scattered files. Each document was a testament to lives intertwined with darkness, woven into a narrative of despair and complexity. In the center, a large table bore witness to the chaos of investigation. Photographs, notes, and diagrams sprawled across its surface, each element a fragment of a greater puzzle. The subject's profile stared back, an enigma wrapped in layers of emotional turmoil. The lines of their face hinted at a story, a narrative crafted by choices made in the throes of unaddressed pain. The empath, a paradox in their own right, stood on the precipice of understanding. They felt the weight of every decision made, every life impacted, yet remained an observer, detached and entwined simultaneously. Their emotional intelligence was a double-edged sword, capable of decoding the misaligned signals that led individuals down dark paths. It was both a gift and a burden. As they delved deeper into the case, they found themselves navigating the labyrinth of the subject's mind. Each emotional cue became a breadcrumb, leading them closer to the heart of the matter. The unsettling truth lay not in the actions, but in the motivations, the driving forces that pushed the individual toward an antisocial profile. What drove them? Was it the longing for power, the quest for validation, or merely the absence of empathy that guided their choices? The empath's gaze narrowed as they examined the biological evidence laid before them. Neurotransmitters, brain scans, and genetic markers painted a picture of a mind at war with itself. Here, in this clinical tableau, emotions morphed into data points, revealing a disconcerting truth. The very traits that defined humanity could become the soil for malevolence. The subject's emotional landscape was a battlefield, and the empath was both participant and spectator. Every detail was a thread in the tapestry of understanding. The empath meticulously unraveled the complexities, aware that clarity often eluded those who sought it. The case conclusion lingered just beyond reach, obscured by layers of emotional detachment and societal expectations. Yet in that somber room, the empath could almost taste the truth, bitter and unyielding, waiting to be acknowledged. As the investigation deepened, the lines between observer and observed blurred into an intricate dance of empathy and analysis. The empath felt the heaviness of the abyss, where light barely penetrated, a reminder that understanding often comes at a price. And in that moment, they grasped the essence of their journey, a quest not only for answers, but for the very fabric of human emotion itself. The room was sterile, illuminated by harsh fluorescent lights that stripped away warmth. The air felt thick with an unspoken tension, a palpable anxiety that clung to the walls like a forgotten memory. In the center, a single table bore witness to the dissection of a mind, a meticulous examination of behaviors that danced on the edge of societal norms. Dr. Elaine Mercer sat across from the subject, her gaze unwavering. She was an empath, one who felt the emotional currents beneath the surface. Yet, in this moment, she wore her clinical demeanor like armor. The subject, a man in his late 30s, exhibited an antisocial profile that had drawn her in, a complex web of charm and calculation, layered with an unsettling detachment from reality. "Tell me about your childhood," she prompted, her voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of intrigue. The subject leaned back, a slight smirk playing on his lips. The response was rehearsed, polished. He spoke of a tumultuous upbringing, each word draped in a veneer of victimhood. Yet beneath that facade, Elaine sensed the dissonance, the emotional disconnection that whispered of deeper truths. As the session unfolded, Elaine navigated the labyrinth of his psyche. Each anecdote was a breadcrumb, leading her deeper into the shadows of his past. His laughter, a chilling echo, his sorrow, an act. She could almost see the emotional currents swirling, dichotomous waves of empathy and apathy crashing against one another. It was an intricate dance, a paradox that left her both fascinated and unsettled. Suddenly, he shifted, the mask slipping momentarily. "Why do you care?" he asked, his voice thick with challenge. It was a question that pierced through her clinical detachment. In that moment, she felt the weight of her role. To unravel the emotional intelligence behind his actions was her task, but the emotional toll was undeniable. Elaine leaned in, her heart a battleground of empathy and professionalism. "Because understanding you helps others," she replied, her words deliberate, each syllable a calculated step. She was not just a spectator, she was a participant in this complex interplay of emotions. The subject's eyes flickered, revealing a crack in his carefully constructed armor. He hesitated, the facade faltering, as if he were on the brink of revelation. Yet the moment passed, and the smirk returned. "You'll never truly understand," he said, a chilling finality in his tone. In that exchange, the paradox lay bare. The emotional intelligence she sought to harness was both a tool and a barrier, offering insight while simultaneously entrenching her in the very darkness she aimed to illuminate. As the session drew to a close, Elaine felt the weight of the unresolved linger, a testament to the complexities of human emotion and the shadows they cast. The room was dimly lit, a sterile environment where emotions often turned to shadows. On one side, a series of photographs lined the wall, each image revealing insights into the minds of those whose choices had spiraled into darkness. The subjects, once ordinary, now reflected complexities that defied simple explanation. Each face told a story, one that could only be unraveled through the lens of emotional intelligence. In the center of the room, a table bore the weight of countless files. Each file contained narratives of individuals whose lives had diverged into realms of antisocial behavior. The psychological bridge connecting these individuals was not merely a path of actions, but a web of emotions, both felt and suppressed. It was here that the paradox emerged. The deeper one delved into the psyche, the more fragments of empathy surfaced, often tangled with rage or despair. One might wonder how an individual could oscillate between compassion and malevolence. The answer lay in a delicate balance of emotional perception and regulation. Individuals with heightened emotional intelligence often navigate this bridge with agility. They perceive the pain of others acutely, yet the very sensitivity that fuels their empathy can also ignite self-destructive tendencies. They may rationalize their actions under the guise of delivering justice or correcting perceived wrongs, creating a narrative that comforts their conscience. The clinical analysis reveals that emotional dysregulation is a common thread among these subjects. Their ability to empathize is often coupled with a profound inability to control their responses. This creates a paradoxical existence where the same emotional insight that fosters connection can also drive isolation. As they traverse this psychological landscape, their inner turmoil becomes a breeding ground for rationalizations that lead to erratic behavior. In essence, the psychological bridge serves as both a conduit and a barrier. It allows for insight, yet obstructs true understanding. Those who walk its path can feel the weight of their choices pressing down, yet remain oblivious to the broader ramifications. The mind becomes a labyrinth, echoing with the voices of the past, urging them towards paths of conflict rather than resolution. To comprehend the complexities of these profiles, one must engage with this bridge, recognizing that beneath the surface lies a tumultuous sea of emotions. The journey through this terrain is fraught with dangers, yet it is here that the narrative unfolds. The paradox of the empath reveals itself, a haunting reminder of how close the line can be between understanding and transgression. Each individual stands at the crossroads, where the capacity for empathy intertwines with the shadows of their own psyche, crafting a narrative that is both compelling and cautionary. The water was dark, a mirror reflecting the chaos beneath its surface. In the depths of human behavior lies the empath's paradox. This is where emotional intelligence intertwines with the cold logic of criminal profiles. Each subject, a labyrinth of conflicting emotions and motivations, presents a unique challenge. Consider the case of the individual whose life was characterized by a dual existence. On one hand, a facade of normalcy. On the other, a torrent of unresolved psychological conflict. Emotional intelligence becomes both a tool and a weapon. The ability to perceive feelings in others offers insight, yet it also creates an unbearable weight of empathy. Each cry for help echoes like a haunting refrain, drawing the empath closer to the edge. To understand this paradox, we must dive deeper into the psyche of the antisocial profile. Here lies an intricate dance of emotional detachment and cunning manipulation. The subject often operates in a realm devoid of conventional morality, yet possesses an acute awareness of human emotion. This dissonance can lead to a chilling effectiveness in their interactions. They know how to read the room, how to exploit the vulnerabilities of others, and yet remain untouched by the very emotions they manipulate. The mind of such an individual is akin to a clinical trial gone awry. One moment, they exhibit charm, the next, a chilling indifference. This volatility can be dissected through the lens of emotional intelligence. An empath may feel the ripples of another's pain, but for the subject, it is merely a game. They can mimic the responses expected by society, all while remaining emotionally quarantined. The challenge lies in unraveling this complex narrative. Each encounter becomes a case study, revealing layers upon layers of psychological conditioning. The empath's insights can illuminate the darkest corners of the antisocial profile, yet they risk becoming ensnared in the emotional web spun by the subject. The deeper they dive, the more they must confront their own emotional boundaries. As the investigation unfolds, the empath must navigate a treacherous landscape. The line between understanding and becoming enmeshed blurs. The emotional toll is palpable, each interaction a reminder of the dual nature of humanity. The paradox is profound. To understand is to feel, but to feel is to risk losing oneself in the abyss of another's psyche. The deep dive into emotional intelligence reveals not only the intricacies of the criminal mind, but also the haunting realization that the empath, in their pursuit of understanding, may inadvertently tread the path of darkness themselves. The exploration continues, and the stakes rise with every revelation. In the labyrinth of human behavior, the empath stands at a crossroads, caught between understanding and isolation. Across continents, individuals driven by emotional intelligence navigate a complex web of criminal profiles, decoding the nuances of antisocial tendencies. This journey transcends borders, revealing a shared human experience that is both haunting and enlightening. In Tokyo, the weight of societal expectations creates a fertile ground for emotional dissonance. Here, the empath observes the masked faces of individuals, struggling under the burden of conformity. The subject's facade often conceals a chasm of despair, leading to behaviors that challenge conventional understanding. Emotional intelligence allows the empath to see past the surface, unveiling a narrative cloaked in silence, a narrative that speaks volumes about the psyche's fragility. Travel west to London, where the streets pulse with life, yet echo the loneliness of its inhabitants. The empath perceives a different kind of isolation, one born from the shadows of rejection and societal neglect. In this urban tapestry, individuals with antisocial profiles often blend into the crowd, their emotional detachment a survival mechanism. The empath feels the weight of their stories, understanding that behind each cold exterior lies a myriad of unvoiced fears and longings. It is a paradox that binds the empath to the very subjects they seek to unravel. Crossing the Atlantic, we reach New York City, where ambition clashes with despair. Here, the empath finds individuals entrenched in a cycle of self-destruction, driven by a longing for connection, yet paralyzed by their own impulses. The clinical lens reveals a striking truth. Emotional intelligence can shine a light on the darkest corners of the human condition. It exposes the intricate dance between empathy and the risk of being consumed by the emotional turmoil of others. In this chaotic landscape, the empath learns that understanding can be both a gift and a burden. Further south in São Paulo, the vibrant culture masks an undercurrent of pain and struggle. The empath navigates through the complexities of interpersonal relationships, recognizing that emotional intelligence is a double-edged sword. The ability to feel deeply can lead to profound insights, but can also create a chasm of loneliness. Here, the empath grapples with the weight of shared sorrow, constantly balancing the scales of connection and detachment. As the narrative unfolds globally, it becomes evident that the empath's journey is a reflection of humanity itself. Each profile, each story, serves as a reminder of the delicate interplay between emotional intelligence and the antisocial behaviors that emerge in the shadows. In the end, the global perspective reveals an inescapable truth. To understand the depths of human behavior is to confront the mirror of one's own emotional landscape. The courtroom breathed in silence. Tension hung thick like the fog rolling over a darkened cityscape. All eyes were fixed on the jury, a collective heartbeat pulsating with unanswered questions. The final verdict loomed, a moment crystallized in time, where empathy collided with the cold, hard edges of the law. On one side, the prosecution laid out their narrative, clinical in its precision. They spoke of the individual whose actions had spiraled into chaos. Their presentation was methodical, an intricate map of motivations and consequences. They dissected the antisocial profile, illustrating a mind that thrived in isolation. The evidence was compelling, a cascade of biological markers and psychological evaluations. Yet a shadow loomed over their facts, a shadow of emotion that could not be quantified. Across the aisle, the defense countered with an equally fervent conviction. They painted a portrait of a troubled psyche, a canvas marred by trauma and neglect. Words like victim slipped through their rhetoric, challenging the narrative of pure malevolence. Emotional intelligence became their weapon. They argued that understanding the depths of despair could unlock the door to compassion, even in the darkest of circumstances. The judge, a sentinel of structure, listened intently. Her gavel had become a metronome of justice, each strike echoing in the hearts of those present. She understood the paradox at play. The very essence of empathy could render the truth both illuminating and obscured. It was a double-edged sword, able to cut through the fog of misunderstanding, yet also deepen the chasm of judgment. As the jury retreated to deliberate, the air crackled with anticipation. Each member bore the weight of their decision, grappling with the emotional complexity laid before them. They were tasked with weighing the individual's intentions against the consequences of their actions. Was it possible to separate the man from the monster? Time marched on, relentless and unforgiving. The chamber felt suspended in a liminal space, caught between past transgressions and future ramifications. A collective inhale preceded the exhale of the jury's return. The four persons stood, trembling, as if the very act of speaking would shatter the fragile balance of justice. The final verdict was announced, reverberating through the courtroom. It was more than a decision. It was a reflection of society's struggle with empathy, morality, and the human condition. Each word hung in the air, heavy with implications, as the narrative of this individual was forever etched into the annals of justice. In that moment, the paradox deepened. The courtroom, once a bastion of certainty, became a mirror reflecting the complexities of human nature, fragile, flawed, and irrevocably intertwined.